Should we be worried about Sundaeswap? With news that Cardano can't handle the transactions on the testnet and massive bottlenecks that will probably occur on day one of launch, is there really anything to be scared of? Well, in my opinion, no. And let me tell you why. Okay, so just going through the Sundaeswap Labs recent Twitter posts, we can see a tweet storm trying to explain away all the FUD that they knew was going to come from the recent article. 1. Now that our article has had time to sit with you, we've had some thoughts to share based on your questions. Our post on Congestion was intended to provide guidance on what to expect with the mainnet launch, and we're delighted to discover how many people the article has reached. This is absolutely great. Number 2. With so many new to Cardano, we wanted to provide some context to limit the inevitable FUD. Why bother to put out a post? With the size of our community and over 500k transactions on the testnet, it was clear Congestion would be inevitable as we launched. Number 3, our testnet had only 50k transactions. We could have got away without writing a blog post. Why is the throughput not higher? On any blockchain, throughput is limited by the number of factors: block production, transaction size, resource limit, etc. Number 4, on Cardano, the transaction size is 16k, which does include the data signatures and compiled smart contract, but the compiled smart contract represents the vast majority of the space used by that transaction. It'll be around 13k for Sundaeswap and 9k for even a simple order book. Number 5, once transactions are no longer required to include compiled code later on this year, then we should see throughput increase dramatically. Number 6, Sundaeswap is an efficient protocol. With testnet parameters, we've seen transactions that include as many as 8 orders attached to them, with only changes to the runtime parameters. This could then rise to as high as 24 orders per transaction. Number 7, why not use the approach of random team? They say, while we're always willing to consider alternatives, not everything today is significantly less efficient from an operational perspective than what they are using. 8, with the capacity to handle over 100,000 transactions per day, depending on congestion, and another 10x throughput gain with script references release plus protocol parameter updates, 2022 is looking bright. And finally, given the excitement, there wasn't a reasonable amount of time we could delay that would eliminate day one backlogs. We're confident in being able to meet the real market demand. Once the initial congestion burns off, we're excited to launch this protocol with you. And now that's something that I think is very important to remember, but this article and these posts are really concerned themselves with day one of the launch. They're not saying that there's going to be this element of congestion forever and that Sundaeswap's just going to be a massive bottleneck for the foreseeable future. No, they're saying on day one, because on day one, there is always a massive demand, influx of demand. No one knows how much it's going to be, but it's probably going to be more than they can supply. But even with that in mind, they have implemented some things to try and make this a little bit better for the consumer. So 3 days ago, Sundaeswap released an article saying that there is congestion on the Cardano network. We've been pretty quiet with their heads down preparing for the mainnet launch. You can expect a very exciting announcement in the next few days. Well, hopefully that'll be soon. During the testnet, the team noticed a large backlog in processing user actions. Apparently, this is partially due to continued improvements to the Scooper order batching program, but was more due to the current maximum throughput parameters of the Cardano blockchain. And while this is likely to negatively impact the user experience, the congestion is a sign that the Cardano network is operating as intended while gradually applying back pressure. This creates natural queues so that the Cardano network could absorb this load without crashing or decreasing the securities of the ledger. Wink, wink, Solana. With the Sundaeswap DEX quickly approaching its mainnet launch, it's difficult to predict the load during the first week of operations. There are a few things that must be noted. Lower barrier to entry compared to the testnet. There's no need to interact with a faucet, switch your wallet to the testnet, etc. There's greater incentive to participate in the DEX to capitalize on its utility with real funds. There is greater risk of participation since users are exposed to losses of real funds through trading activity. And the Sundaeswap DEX must share network bandwidth with other launching protocols, themselves driving additional network demand. So because Sundaeswap are expecting a large backlog during the first days of a protocol, they will be building out features to inform users on what the current backlog is, what the current throughput is, and where exactly your order stands in the queue. So while these demand surges will in the short term result in network congestion and longer order processing times, they don't expect the situation to last indefinitely. Eventually, the network will catch up, and this will be further improved as IOG implements a planned series of improvements and enhancements in 2022. These are mainly to do with scalability, being the Basho era, new version of Cardano node, another new network improvement known as pipelining, improvement to the node to allow it to store portions of protocol state to disk will allow nodes to hold less memory, allowing an increase in memory limits. Several Cardano improvement proposals, CIP 0031, 0032, and 0033, will greatly reduce the size of transactions. Additional improvements to the Sundaeswap DEX will be presented to and voted by community as part of a commitment to decentralized governments, layer 2 solutions such as Hydra and others. If there is a bottleneck, then what that means is that the demand is greater than the supply. Now, those of you who know basic economics will know that in terms of price, that's only a good thing.